Hai, aku Chandra Intan dan selamat datang di versi terbaru dari Vampire Podcast, yaitu Building Your Empire.
Call a friend.
Am I wrong? I mean, no spoilers.
Empowering women, like queens, real queens fix each other's crown.
Louder. I think we need tissue.
Can we have tissue, please?
Hello everyone, welcome to another Building Your Empire podcast. I'm Intan, your host, and today we already have two beautiful women right here. First we have Karina Basrewan. Yeah, she is the Miss Earth Indonesia 2022, and she's also a news anchor at right, as SEA Today, right?
Yes.
And then creator and community manager as well at Woman Talk. And then she's also a brand ambassador at Aglixco. Is that right?
Ageless Galaxy, but
Ageless
Yes.
Galaxies.
nailed it.
And she's also a content creator. Thank you so much for being here with us.
for having me.
Oh my god. And we also have Kizzy Nanik
Yeah.
right here. She's a learning and development specialist at Indonesian fintech company, and she's also a chief programs officer at the Self Hug. Check it out. And also she's a mental health education and self-love advocate. Thank you so much, Kizzy, for being here. And by the way, they have been friends, best friends, for 25 years. And they are going to share about their beautiful relationship in this day, special day, International Women's Day. So,
right.
yes. And in this International Women's Day, we have a theme, which is Embrace Equity. And we're also going to share a lot about it.
Right.
So, are you girls ready?
So ready?
Ready as
ready?
we'll ever be. Let's do this.
Okay, so yes, I already introduced a bit of you, but we also want to know what's your background, lagi sibuk apa belakangan ini, right? So yeah, would you please introduce yourself again? Mungkin diperkenalkan lagi sedikit. Maybe Kizzy, you want to start? Yes.
Kizzy, please.
All right. Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for having us on this podcast. Love Vampire, and this is very, very beautiful. What a beautiful setting this is. Okay, so my background is in psychology, and I've always just been passionate about mental health education and self-love because I mean, if we're being honest, self-love was a thing that was very, very difficult for me growing up. And so that's why, I wanted to do something in that field. That's why I pursued psychology and also things like Love Me, Love You and the self-hug and these things. And I'm also very passionate about education. So that's why my current job, learning and development, is very, it fits in very well. That's what I've been up to the past how many years?
So many years.
So, yes, that's me.
So the self hug, right? You're still on it right now, right? Jadi self hug itu kalau nggak salah journal kan?
Yes.
Jadi kayak journal, tapi di dalamnya tuh kayak ada berbagai panduan gitu. Jadi kalian tuh udah tahu nih, oh oke, hari ini aku mau refleksinya tuh apa gitu. So tell us a bit about the self hug.
Yeah, so the self-hug is a guided journal for mental health. And so if you are a beginner who's never done journaling before and maybe you don't know where to start, then definitely our guided journals are for you. We focus a lot on evidence-based research and all the theories of how to get better with your mental health and things like that. So gratitude practice and reflection. So it's very much for beginners. And I know sometimes, because I've been journaling since I was little, so it comes easy to me. And I love to write, and I know that how much it helps for your mental health. But I know that a lot of people also don't know where to start. Right? They see a blank page and they get overwhelmed.
What do we do?
How do I start? So this journal, our journals are for those people. And we also have a community and events to help you in your journaling and self hug journey. So yeah.
That is so wholesome. Thank you for doing what you're doing,
I
girl.
actually have
my
one of
pleasure.
them, one
Yes.
of their journals.
Oh,
And
yeah?
I personally am not, Kizzy and I are very different in that sense. I don't usually journal. I usually keep things here and create scenarios. Any Pisces are in. But I actually got one of their journals, and it's actually been really helpful in sort of organizing my scatterbrain way of thinking. So
Love
it's been very helpful for beginners.
Yes,
especially.
imagine how many people that you can help with that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really like
Yes.
improving lives. So kudos to you and your team.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to give them a shout out, by the way.
Yeah. So
Nina and
Karina,
Christina.
Oh, hello.
congrats for the Miss Earth.
thank you
by
so
the way.
much.
Oh my God, how's it going? How is
Thank
it?
you so much. It's been great. So, I maybe just a little backstory about my Miss Earth journey. I actually got handpicked by Mahakarya Duta Pesona Indonesia, which is the organization that holds the Miss Earth license here in Indonesia, back in September 2022. And so, no, sorry, October. And so at the time when they reached out to me, I only had 3 weeks to prep to represent our beloved country on an international stage. And I think I'm one of those people, and Kizzy knows this. I dive in head first, and I kind of think about it later. Like I'm like, oh, I just did that.
That's what I love about her too, though, is like
Yeah.
the fact that she doesn't overthink it. She just does it.
Yeah.
And you know, because sometimes when you
Yeah.
overthink things,
Yeah.
kaya
You know, you're like,
you
should
end
I
up
do it?
doubting
Should I
yourself.
not?
And
Yeah. And I think, as I reflect on that, or like just generally my way of thinking when I make a decision, I think it's because when an opportunity comes, I tend to think with my heart rather than my brain, which is
in love and life.
we'll probably get to that later. But in life, let's start with the life part. Okay, I see the opportunity as like, okay, if it makes me feel right, like, do I see myself doing it? Does it feel right? If it does, I go for it. Will I see myself doing it long term? I go for it. Does it make sense that I do it? Will it make me happy? Will it fulfill me? And if it's all three yeses, then I go for it. And I sort of think of like the logistics or the more, logical part of it later on. And that's when I usually go, oh, damn. Did not think about that part. But then again, it's backed up by my decision that, hey, this feels right. And I tend to base my decisions on intuition rather than logic, which can,
Typical Pisces.
that's a Taurus in her talking right now. But yeah, and doesn't matter what I end up doing. It always makes me feel whole because at the time when I did make that decision, like I was happy to do it. And I did think long term of how it would make me feel because I think the worst thing that could possibly happen is to do something you don't love or am passionate about.
Right.
And then 3 weeks to prepare. It was honestly it was a lot at the time. I was working 2 jobs. My news anchoring, which started from 3 a.m. till 9 a.m. and then I had a 9 to 5. And then on top of that, I had to prepare for an international competition. So
All in 3 weeks, by the way.
all in
Like
3
the
weeks.
preparation for the competition.
I wasn't sleeping.
How are you real?
It was definitely a lot. But then again, when I complain to myself about, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I look back at it again. But hey, I did make this decision. And so I have to own up to it. I have to be responsible for it. And it felt right at the time. It still feels right, but I just have to push through. It's just, one of those obstacles or one of those challenges that you have to get through to be able to get to the other side, whatever that may be, right? And then I flew out to the Philippines in November. I was there for about 3.5 weeks competing. And then after the competition, came home. And actually, I was working my 9 to 5, my news anchoring was a little flexible at the time, so I could take time off for that. But my 9 to 5 wasn't very flexible, and so I had to resign for Mr. See, that's another thing, right? You gotta you give and
Make
take.
the sacrifices.
Yeah, there's always something you have to sort of give up, a sacrifice you have to do. And so yeah, and then I let that go. And then when I came home in December, I was like, okay, now that the storm has passed, it's like, this is too calm for me. I'm not used to this. Like, what is this? Right? But then I think, just ever since coming back and now, and I was just telling Kizzy this actually, it's a time for me to, I guess, figure out my next move. But as I'm doing so, I'm also teaching myself, training myself to just be in the moment, to be still when I have to just take a break when it's given to me. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing now. But I recently joined Woman Talk as their creators and a content manager and community manager as well, where, we gather inspiring creators, women from all different departments of life, whatever their background may be, we can come together and sort of have that solidified community where they can have that safe space to just share and inspire one another as women. So yeah, that's me. Sorry,
That's
that was
so beautiful.
longer than intended, guys.
No, it's fine. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think it's really, really beautiful. And hopefully coming here to Plume also helps you to be in the moment.
Yeah.
Feeling very zen.
Because I just love coming here.
Yeah.
Like our sponsor today, Plume, thank you so much for having us being
Thank you so much,
Plume. Yes, because coming here with the whole atmosphere is super zen, and with the aromatherapy right there, with the tea,
Very calm. So
right? We just love it. So okay, thank you so much for the introduction. So shall we begin to celebrate International Women's Day?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Kalian kan punya banyak banget nih pengalaman kan. You have a lot of things that you're doing, and from your perspective, dari pengalaman kalian gimana sih mengartikan equality and also equity? What are equality and equity for you?
Okay, equality is like everyone gets the same stuff, right? Every child gets the same book. But then you don't take into account the different reading abilities of each child. So then walaupun all the kids have the same book, doesn't mean that everyone can understand and can read the same pace. So that's equality. But then equity, if that's the difference that we're talking about, is making sure that all the kids have the same abilities first, and then you give all the kids the same book so that all the kids can understand the book the same type of way, or they have the same ability to read the book. So yeah, a lot of the conversation around gender equality and all that, we see that now we're opening up the doors in STEM fields to all women. So that's first step is the door is open. That's great. But then we don't really take into consideration the disadvantages or maybe advantages that are different between men and women. For example, confidence is a huge thing for women, that men naturally sort of have the confidence. So then there are many studies about this, so you can definitely check. But yeah, from the psychological point of view, they say that imposter syndrome is felt a lot more by women compared to men. And if there's a job description or whatever, men will be more confident to apply for that job, walaupun mereka cuman bisa tick off 60% of the stuff, dan walaupun the woman can tick off all the 100% of the job description, the woman still feels oh, I don't think that's me, I don't think ini. So even though the door is open, it's already open, and there is the opportunity for the woman to apply to that job or whatever, but then there are still differences that haven't been dealt with, and not just talking about gender, we're also talking about things like, accessibility, disability, things like that. And like, the question now, especially in HR, like, how do we actually become diverse? How do we actually become equitable? How do we actually become inclusive? Instead of just saying like, oh yeah, women in tech, woohoo. Tapi belum ada, there hasn't been any education around like the interpersonal side of things to balance that out, self-belief and all those things. Like we haven't really talked about that yet. So on one hand, like I'm glad, it's good that like we're talking about gender equality, things like that. But then the next step, or maybe the step before harusnya is equity, bukan equality. But yeah, it's a huge thing in HR right now.
Oh, thank you so
Well
much.
said.
What about you, Karina?
Mungkin aku tambahin sedikit aja kali ya. I feel like Kizzy has been very thorough with her sharing. Mungkin kalau dari Kizzy lebih dari perspektif kayak perkantoran, that side of things. Maybe I can share a little bit about how it was in, say, like pageantry, right? Mungkin not so much on equality, but definitely on equity. You have, when I was competing, we had 86 girls from different countries come in, and it's like what you said, right? Because all kids get the same book, but it's just our ability to read. Dan ini kan 86 girls, 86 perempuan itu kan coming from all different types of background. Mungkin ada yang udah mempersiapkan diri bertahun-tahun, ada yang kayak aku langsung kayak terjun aja gitu 3 minggu. So and then it comes back juga ke diri mereka sendiri tuh gimana, self confidence, banyaklah faktornya. Dan di situ kan kita baru bisa melihat, when they say pageantry is survival of the fittest, it really is, because you get tested from all angles gitu, nggak hanya secara fisik tapi juga secara mental. Dan itu yang aku lihat after competing is where it gets to people, it gets to the girls mostly. Seminggu pertama semua masih bisa gitu. Makin kelihatan kan kalau orang bilang tuh orang pageant siapa yang paling mentar gitu. Apa namanya? Mentar benar kan?
What is that? Sorry.
Menonjol gitu. Kalau bahasa mereka mentar lah gitu.
Okay.
Dan jadi main dor-doran aja siapa yang bisa paling cantik, siapa yang bisa benar-benar menonjolkan dirinya as the best. Dan walaupun ada dari kita yang memasuki itu dengan mindset, aku di sini cuma buat misalnya experience-nya untuk kenalan sama cewek-cewek dari 86 negara, untuk asal belajar aja. Tapi bagaimanapun kan itu juga kompetisi, dan they really put that competitive mindset inside of you gitu. Jadi bagaimanapun kalau kita ngelihat ini lebih baik dari aku tuh pastilah ada mental yang drop. Dan akhirnya banyak yang ngerasa bahwa aku layak gak sih di sini. Jadi dan karena itu mereka performance-nya drop, dan it leads them to believe kayak ya udah yang dapat penghargaan itu terus, ngapain aku masih coba gitu. Tapi kan kadang-kadang kita kalau mempunyai mindset ya udah kalau misalnya ini kompetisi aku ya nggak apa-apa, tapi kan we're literally wearing our countries across our chest gitu. Jadi agak berat ya bebannya, Beb. Nggak cuma nama. Jadi even for me, like I'm there not as Karina, I'm there as Indonesia, and that's literally how people call me. They're like, "Hey, Indonesia," you're reminded constantly every day that hey, you are your country, that you're there as your country. Jadi itu sih mungkin pembelajaran yang terbesar buat aku, dan akhirnya aku belajar bahwa yes, walaupun ini adalah competition, kadang-kadang mungkin kita belum ada di dunia yang equity itu fair. We haven't embraced it enough gitu kan. Jadi apa yang kita bisa kontrol sekarang itu ya dari kita. Jadi dari pembelajaran itu aku akhirnya memilih untuk mempunyai mindset di mana aku di situ dengan sikap yang legowo. Terima aja. Apapun hasilnya, yang penting dari kita udah melakukan yang terbaik. Kadang-kadang kan kita harus untuk bisa to be able to make a change, we have to be the change, right? And it's something that we have to build ourselves dulu. It's something that we have to train di kita dulu. Dan itu akan reflect di actions kita dan akhirnya akan yang dilihat dan dimengerti orang lain. Nah, jadi dari pengalaman aku di Miss Earth, aku pikir ya udah memang ya 86 girls and one winner is a lot of pressure. Tapi kalau kita mempunyai mindset yang legowo, terima apapun hasilnya, kita tahu kita udah melakukan yang terbaik, we've done our best and let God do the rest gitu. Jadi karena aku ngelihat bahkan banyak cewek-cewek yang nggak mendapat penghargaan tuh bisa teriak-teriak di backstage, lempar-lempar tantrum, karena mereka nggak terima dan akhirnya kan itu apa ya? It reflects bad on all angles untuk diri mereka sendiri, untuk negara mereka dan apapun yang mereka lakukan ke depannya itu kan efeknya yang kadang kita nggak mikir tuh panjang apa yang kita lakukan hari ini. Jadi it's very important to train oneself to have that mindset untuk accept. Bukan apa ya, not to give up but to surrender.
To surrender.
To believe that whatever happens is meant to be.
Oh my god, itu ilmu tingkat tinggi, coy.
Like that's my best friend. That's my best friend.
Like honestly, when you've been talking, she has like this look of like a proud bestie right there. I'm like,
get yourself a man the way Kizzy looks at me, guys.
I know, right? Like do that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, thank you so much.
She's my number one support system.
Aww.
If I could get paid for that, that'd be amazing. I'd quit my job. I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, talking about it, right? I really want to know, how did you guys like met? I mean, 3 years old. Like how?
We're probably crawling somewhere in the playground.
Honestly,
How did it start? Like, are you guys also like going to the same school or whatever?
We went to the same kindergarten.
Yeah.
We used to do this thing in college where we just tell people we're cousins.
Yeah, because it's just easier that way.
And I mean, people believe it all the time.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm a shorter, darker version of her.
She's the prettier one.
Shut up!
Like the knockoff version of her.
I disagree.
I mean, no hate or whatever, but like, yeah. She's Miss Earth, for goodness sake, okay? I'm no pageant beauty, but whatever.
She's the smarter one. Let's just put it that way.
I think, okay, so yeah, we went to the same kindergarten, and then she's a year younger than me.
10 months. But yes, a year.
Okay.
I refuse to say
10
it.
months. And then, I think maybe our parents.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't really remember how we got introduced.
I don't know. All I remember is I sort of spent most days. So I think our parents would her house was like daycare pretty much.
Yeah.
So our
was very close
parents
to the kindergarten.
would just put us at Kizzy's house and they just did God knows what. And so that's how we bonded over. Apparently I used to puke all the time in the toilet. Remember that?
You or me?
Me.
Yeah. So not even
According
toilet,
to you.
babes. No, not even toilet. Like one time you puked right next to my feet.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my god.
When she was little.
I was
don't
3,
know why.
guys. There you go.
Yeah. But
Puking
anyway.
since 3.
Puking since 3.
You're still puking now.
For different reasons.
Yeah, for different reasons. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so coming back to this embrace equity thing, right? So as you know, this year after everything that's happening gitu kan, and you have seen, as you also said before, that we are going through equality and everything, that the conversation has been there, but we are now shifting into the talk about equity. Yeah. Right? So for you, what is embrace equity? How do you embrace equity? And would you please share to us in this International Women's Day? Who wants to go first, Kizzy?
I mean, that's a really tough question, and I'm not saying that I'm any type of expert or, but just as a woman and just as someone who is in their 28th year of life and just like seeing how the conversation has changed over the past how many years, because when we were growing up, feminism wasn't really a thing. Like the first thing that I remember about feminism was when Emma Watson made that, he for she speech. And that was like my first time ever hearing the word feminism gitu. So going from there to going to a period of like, toxic feminism and like all that to like gender equality or, people on TikTok very passionate about their, all that to now the conversation is about equity. I think embracing equity just means, to me personally, it just means that I have a responsibility for myself to get my mindset and get wherever I'm lacking, I need to be able to like cover that for myself first. That's in my head. In my opinion, you have to, yourself, where you are now, where you want to be, gapnya apa, work hard to use the resources that you have to fill that gap and bridge that gap. And then from there, baru you can say, okay, is this actually fair or is it not fair?
When Kizzy said about, something that we lack, how we can compensate for it is to focus more on our strengths. Pasti semua orang mempunyai kelebihan masing-masing. Dan I think the world will be a much better place if we can learn to focus more on the things that we're good at rather than the things we lack or we're not good at. Karena ya balik lagi tadi, semua orang punyai porsi masing-masing dan semua emang udah diberkati dengan talenta masing-masing. Gimana kita bisa fokus untuk how to multiply that for first and foremost untuk diri kita sendiri agar kita bisa mengembangkan itu untuk orang lain.
Yes. Totally agree with them both. Oh my god. Kayak nyambungin lagi dengan equity, right? Kayak kita semua pasti punya permasalahan-permasalahan kita gitu. Kita pasti punya insecurities. Kayak tadi minder gitu kan, or like anything gitu. So how are we going to be able to be friends with our insecurities? Atau kayak kita bisa bersahabat dengan situasi yang membuat kita tuh down gitu. How can we, like accept, which is what you're like really good at, right? And like how can we like accept that and then be able to communicate our needs in the future gitu. Like how can we do that? Do you girls have like any tips for our fempresses out there?
It's not an easy thing that you can just sort of you wake up one morning and you're like, I'm gonna accept my fate that I'm not gonna be that my dreams are crushed. Yeah, it's a long process of shifting your mindset from thinking that I'm not good enough for this to like, okay, that's not the right path for me. Then kadang-kadang kan it's easier to sort of feed your mind, your thoughts with negative things like that rather than, motivating, uplifting ini that's like, no, you're the best, you got this, girl. Yes, queen. And it's a lot easier to just cry in bed all day. Rather than get up and dress up for the role or for the part that you want. It's a lot more effort. And sometimes I think we rely a lot on the people around us to be that support system that sometimes kita sendiri lupa bahwa semua tuh again baliknya dari kita. Percuma kalau kita tuh dikelilingi, kita ada sahabat atau keluarga atau apapun itu yang benar-benar push kita, kamu bisa, tapi kita sendiri nggak percaya bahwa kita bisa. Jadi yang susah itu sebenarnya bukan mencari support system yang eksternal, tapi bagaimana kita bisa membangun diri kita sendiri dari dalamnya, internally. And yang kayak tadi aku bilang, sebuah proses yang lama banget menurut aku. Dan kadang-kadang kita tuh banyak banget yang kita alami dari hidup, mau itu dari sisi keluarga, sisi karir, sisi relationships yang kayak aduh apalagi sih kayak bangun pagi tuh kayak what now, like what is it today, what's gonna hit me today. Tapi yang kita harus selalu ingat adalah bahwa semua obstacle atau semua challenges yang kita temukan atau yang Tuhan perbolehkan untuk terjadi dalam hidup kita itu untuk membangun kita untuk menjadi sosok yang lebih dewasa, yang lebih baik, yang lebih kuat lagi. Karena I feel like, 10 years ago, what are our problems, you know? It's like waking up
Boy
for school.
problems.
Or boy problems. Yang kayak, oh my gosh, she's not replying my text. Like, oh my gosh, and fast forward 10 years later, you're actually like faced with like real life problems. And you're like, oh my God. You know, tapi kan itu semua membangun dan it shapes us to be who we are today, to be able to face the challenges that we have to face today. Jadi menurut aku tipsnya apa ya? Kadang-kadang orang bilang gampang ngomong doang kayak begitu. Coba ada di posisi aku atau you don't know, you just say that it's easier said than done gitu. Emang it is easier said than done. So I'm not here to tell you that it's easy. It's not. Tapi it's not impossible to be able to fight your or rather be best friends with your insecurities, to embrace your insecurities. It's a process that I feel like you have to embrace. You have to embrace the process of becoming the best version of yourself. Dan itu adalah sesuatu yang I think most of us harus accept bahwa okay, emang right now I am where I am, it's where I need to be. Nggak bisa dong kita dari A mau ke Z semua alfabet dilewatin langsung loncat, kan harus A, B, C, D, E semua harus dilewatin. And it's all stages of life that you have to go through to be that person, the best version of yourself.
I love that, and she clearly loves that. Like seriously.
A support system.
Yes, oh my god. Okay, Kizzy, we're ready to hear from you.
I mean,
Please.
need I say more? I don't know. I mean, even I was like, oh my god, I'm watching a TED Talk right now. Like, this is so good. But so true. I guess, okay, so Karina's dealt or like went from the perception of like, yeah, dari hati or whatever. Maybe from my side, like I'll give some
logical point of view.
And structural.
I'll
Structural
give
point
some
of
like
view.
maybe practical tips and tricks, because definitely when I was younger, if I had heard a message like this, it would have really, really changed my life and like my view of things. But then at the same time, I wish I knew how to get there, because like
Steps.
we know that like we need to do that, tapi how exactly? And ladies and gentlemen,
That's where she comes in.
I've been through a lot of like self-doubt, a lot of insecurities as someone who was bullied when they were little, went through, you know, some abuse and things like that, and just these different funny things that life throws at you.
Yeah.
You know, so of course, maybe by the time I was 15, 16, like my self-confidence, my self-esteem was completely like zero. And Karina can attest to this, you know, Ramani can attest to this. The person that I was maybe like, not even 10 years ago, but like pretty like 5 years ago or whatever, is completely different to the person that I am today. I feel like I have built back up my self-confidence and my self-belief, and I think it's because I was willing to really ask myself the hard questions. And sometimes it's a lot easier to stay in a victim mentality than to actually take responsibility for your own life. And so that was something that I definitely had a victim mentality growing up. Like I always blamed it on like, oh my gosh, like my parents traumatized me, and that's why I'm like this, and like, you know, oh, that person was mean to me, blah blah blah. Tapi my mindset, I had to change it from a victim mentality to a victor winner mentality.
I like that. From victim to
Victor.
From victim to victor.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the thing is, like, it might seem like that's such an easy thing to do, but let me tell you, it took me 7 years to get out of my like depression and all that. And I went through school, like psychology, to learn about all this stuff, and that still didn't help. What really helped me, I mean, yeah, journaling, but also getting inspiration from people that I admire. One of the people that I admire is Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Taylor Swift. Okay? She went through a lot publicly.
Yeah. I think,
and
I mean, I'm not obviously not as huge of a fan as she is, but I can definitely relate to that. I look up to Taylor Swift as well in terms of how she's
been able to handle
just
like all
with
that.
so much poise and class.
Yeah. Without like hating other people.
I think that's the thing. Sometimes we know when we're attacked, quote unquote, we tend to attack back. But it's sort of embracing again yourself. And how, the whole kill them with kindness, like you don't have to attack back. It's how you, and that I feel like that gives you more points. Like if I see someone getting attacked and they don't attack back, but they handle it with so much, just confidence, bukan confidence in the sense where kaya, no, I'm like bitter or not. It's like, no, but I am the bigger person because I'm not going to do that. I think, but then again, that takes courage, lots of courage. It takes practice, and you have to go through a process to be able to do that. Sorry.
That is so beautiful, girls. Thank you so much. Wow, we have learned a lot from you both today, and
you have the feelings perspective, and you have the step by step.
I know, right? So thank you so much for sharing a lot about yourself and being vulnerable with us here. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Both of you. After this, we're still gonna talk more. And see you guys later on another video of Building Your Empire podcast. Bye.
Bye.